The great hall of the Galaxy Council stretched out like a massive bowl. Thousands of seats rose up in circles, each filled with different alien species. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of living crystal that glowed with soft light. The air smelled strange, mixing the scents of 100 different worlds. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat in the small human section. She wore a simple dark blue uniform with Earth's symbol on her shoulder. Around her sat 12 other humans, all looking tired and angry. They had been here for 3 months now, listening to the same speeches over and over. The Zephyrian High Counselor stood at the center podium. He was tall and thin, with silver skin that reflected the lights. His voice was deep and commanding. "The humans must understand," he said, looking directly at Chen. "Your species is young. You have only been in space for a few hundred years. We have been here for thousands." Chen's jaw tightened. She had heard this speech before. Many times. The counselor continued. "Your people fight too much. You solve problems with violence. This is not the way of advanced civilizations. You need guidance. You need supervision." A sound like wind chimes came from the Crystalline Collective's section. It was their way of laughing. Chen knew they found humans amusing, like children playing with toys they did not understand. "The human military is too aggressive," added a representative from the ethereal dominion. This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. "They attack first and ask questions later. This is primitive behavior." Chen stood up slowly. The hall grew quiet. All eyes turned to her. She was not tall or impressive like the other species, but something in her movement made everyone pay attention. "You call us primitive," she said. Her voice was calm but carried clearly through the hall. "You say we are too young, too violent, too emotional." She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of species from dozens of worlds. "But let me ask you something. When the Devourer machines attacked the Kepler colonies, who arrived first to help? When the plague hit Vega Prime, who sent medical ships without being asked? When pirates raided the trade routes near Centauri, who cleared them out?" The hall stayed silent. "It was humans," Chen continued. "Every time. We were the ones who showed up. We were the ones who fought. We were the ones who died to protect worlds that are not even our own." The Zephyrian counselor's silver skin darkened with anger. "This proves our point exactly. You rush into danger without thinking, without planning, without permission from proper authorities." "Permission?" Chen's voice got harder. "Permission to save lives? Permission to do what is right?" The Crystalline Collective made their chiming sound again. Their representative spoke in a voice like breaking glass. "Humans always think they know what is right, but you are babies in this galaxy. You should listen to your elders." Chen felt something cold settle in her chest. She looked at the other human delegates. They all nodded slightly. They had talked about this moment many times. "You want to treat us like children," she said. "You want us to ask permission before we help people. You want us to wait for committees to decide if someone deserves to be saved." She picked up her briefcase and closed it with a sharp click. "Well, we are done asking for your permission." The ethereal dominion representative floated closer. "What do you mean?" Chen turned to face the entire assembly. "I mean, humanity is withdrawing from these peace talks. We are withdrawing from this council. We are done trying to be part of your system." A wave of surprised sounds filled the hall. Some species gasped. Others clicked or buzzed or hummed in shock. The Zephyrian counselor stepped forward. "You cannot simply leave. You need us. Earth is just one world among thousands. You need our trade, our protection, our knowledge." Chen smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Do we?" She gestured to the other human delegates. They all stood up together, moving with the same smooth coordination that marked human military training. "You think we need you," Chen said. "But when was the last time any of you visited human space? When did you last see what we have built, what we have learned?" The questions hung in the air. Chen could see confusion on many alien faces. "You see us as primitive because we are willing to fight. But you forget that fighting requires strength, courage. The ability to make hard choices quickly. These are not weaknesses. She started walking toward the exit. The other humans followed her in perfect formation. "Wait," called the counselor. "Where will you go? What will you do?" Chen stopped at the great doors. "We will do what humans have always done. We will find our own way." The doors opened with a deep sound. Beyond them, Chen could see human ships waiting in the docking bay. Sleek, fast vessels that looked nothing like the ornate craft of other species. "This is foolish," said the crystalline representative. "You will be alone, cut off from galactic civilization." "Will we?" Chen asked. "Or will we simply be free to build something better?" The human delegates walked through the doors. Behind them, the Galaxy Council erupted in noise. Some species were angry, others seemed worried. A few looked almost pleased, as if a difficult problem had just solved itself. As the doors closed, Chen heard the Zephyrian counselor addressing the assembly. "Do not worry, they will be back. Humans are emotional creatures. Once they calm down and realize what they have given up, they will come crawling back." The sound of alien agreement followed the humans down the corridor. But Chen was not worried. She had seen the reports from the outer colonies. She knew about the new technologies being developed in secret. She knew about the ships being built in hidden shipyards. She knew about the other species that had quietly reached out to humanity, species that were tired of the Council's endless rules and committees. The Zephyrian counselor was wrong about one thing. Humans would not be coming back. At least not as the junior partners the Council expected them to be. Chen boarded her ship and gave the order to leave. As Earth's vessels departed from the Council station, she looked back one last time at the massive structure. It looked impressive and ancient, like something that would last forever. But Chen had studied history. She knew that nothing lasted forever, especially not systems that stopped growing, stopped adapting, stopped listening to new voices. The galaxy was about to change. The Council just did not know it yet. The human ships jumped to hyperspace, leaving the station and its self-important occupants behind. In the Great Hall, the debate continued. Most species agreed that humanity had made a terrible mistake. They would impose sanctions, cut off trade, show the humans what happened when young species tried to act above their station. It would be months before they realized the truth. The humans had not made a mistake. The Council had. 3 months passed after the humans left the Galaxy Council. At first, most species barely noticed. The Zephyrians were busy writing new laws about proper diplomatic behavior. The Crystalline Collective spent their time creating beautiful art to celebrate the return of galactic harmony. The ethereal dominion floated in their meditation chambers, pleased that the disruptive human element was gone. But slowly, things began to change. The first sign came from the Mercantile Federation. These were the traders and merchants who moved goods between worlds. Their quarterly profit reports showed something strange. Income was down by 30%. At first, they blamed it on normal market changes. But when they looked closer, they found the real reason. Human trade routes were empty. For decades, human cargo ships had carried goods between the inner and outer systems. They moved fast and charged fair prices. Their crews were reliable and honest. Other species had grown used to this service without really thinking about it. Now those ships were gone. The Federated Mining Consortium discovered an even bigger problem. Many of their best mining operations were joint projects with human companies. The humans provided advanced drilling equipment and extraction technology. In return, they got a share of the profits and access to rare materials. But the human equipment had stopped working, not because it was broken, but because the humans had taken it away. Quietly, without making a fuss, human technicians had packed up their machines and left. The mining stations that remained could only extract a fraction of what they had before. Director Kelvox of the Mining Consortium called an emergency meeting. He was a short, round alien with gray skin and multiple eyes. "This is a disaster," he told his board. "The Rigel station produced 1 million tons of rare earth metals last year. Without human technology, we can barely manage 50,000 tons. One of the board members clicked his mandibles nervously. Surely we can replace their equipment. Buy new machines from other species. Kelvox's eyes dimmed with sadness. I tried. The Zephyrians quoted me a price that was 10 times higher for machines that are half as good. The Crystalline Collective said their equipment would be ready in 20 years. 20 years. Similar problems appeared everywhere. Agricultural stations found their crop yields dropping without human farming techniques. Medical facilities struggled, without access to human pharmaceutical research. Even the Galaxy Council's own computers ran slower without human software improvements. The worst part was the communication silence. Before, human scientists had shared their research freely. They published papers and attended conferences. They helped solve problems that other species could not figure out. Human doctors had traded medical knowledge. Human engineers had shared new designs. All of that stopped. When the ethereal Dominion tried to contact the human research station at Wolf 359, they got a polite but cold response. The Terran Commonwealth appreciates your interest, but we are currently focusing on internal research projects. The Zephyrian Science Council sent a formal request for collaboration on their antimatter project. The humans sent back a simple message. We thank you for thinking of us, but we have other priorities now. It was maddening. The humans were not angry or insulting. They were just absent. High Counselor Zix of the Zephyrians called his intelligence chief to his office. The room was decorated with silver walls and floating crystals that hummed with soft music. What are the humans doing? He demanded. Intelligence Chief Moore consulted his tablet. He was younger than the counselor, with bright silver skin and quick movements. That is difficult to say, sir. They have withdrawn from all public networks. Their long-range communications are encrypted. Our spy satellites cannot get close to human space. Cannot get close? Why not? Their patrol ships turn our scouts away at the border, politely but firmly. They claim to be conducting security exercises throughout their territory. Counselor Zix's skin darkened. Security exercises? Against whom? Unknown, sir. The counselor stood up and paced around his office. This makes no sense. They left. The peace talks in anger. They should be isolated and struggling. Instead, they seem organized and purposeful. Moore shifted uncomfortably. Sir, there is something else. Our long-range sensors have detected unusual activity in the outer systems. What kind of activity? Construction. Large-scale construction. We are picking up energy signatures that suggest major industrial projects. Where? That is the strange part, sir. The construction is not in established human space. It is in sectors that are mostly unexplored. Empty systems with no habitable worlds. Counselor Zix stopped pacing. Why would they build in empty systems? We do not know. The counselor stared out his window at the stars. For the first time since the humans left, he felt a small worry in his chest. The worry grew larger when reports came in from other species. The Tau Merchants Guild had lost contact with 3 of their trade missions. The ships had been traveling through what used to be neutral space, but their last messages mentioned human vessels asking them to update their navigation charts. The Kepler mining colony sent a distress signal when their asteroid mining operation was shut down by human patrol ships. The humans claimed the asteroids were now in Terran Commonwealth territorial space, and mining was no longer permitted. The Centauri Science Station reported that human ships had established a checkpoint at the edge of their system. The humans were polite but insisted on inspecting all vessels before allowing them to pass. Director Yila of the Galaxy Council's Strategic Planning Division called an emergency session. She was a member of the Ethereal Dominion, a being of pure energy that glowed with soft blue light. We have a problem, she announced to the assembled representatives. The humans are not behaving as we predicted. The Zephyrian representative nodded. Our model suggested they would become isolated and weak without our support. Instead, they seem to be expanding their territory. A member of the Crystalline Collective chimed in. Perhaps they are bluffing, trying to make us think they are stronger than they are. Director Yila dimmed slightly. I do not think so. Our intelligence suggests they are making contact with species we have never encountered. This caused a stir in the assembly. The Galaxy Council prided itself on knowing about every spacefaring civilization in their region of the galaxy. "Which species?" asked the Zephyrian. "We are not sure. Long-range sensors have detected unknown ship designs in human space. The energy signatures do not match any known technology." The ethereal representative floated higher. "Could these be human allies from before they joined the Council?" "Negative. These appear to be first contact situations. The humans seem to be actively seeking out new species to negotiate with." The assembly fell silent. This was not how things were supposed to work. New species were supposed to be introduced to galactic civilization through the proper channels. The Council had procedures for first contact, rules and protocols that had been developed over thousands of years. The humans were ignoring all of it. Counselor Zix spoke for all of them. "What do we do?" Director Yila pulsed with uncertain light. "Wait and see. The humans will need our help eventually. They cannot build a galactic civilization from nothing." But even as she said it, she did not sound convinced. In the outer darkness, beyond the Council's sensors, human ships moved between stars that had no names on any official charts. They carried diplomats and scientists and engineers to worlds that had never heard of the Galaxy Council. And in hidden shipyards that floated in the empty spaces between systems, massive construction projects continued around the clock. The humans were building something big, something new. Captain Zilk of the crystalline collective exploration ship Bright Harmony had been traveling through deep space for 6 months. His mission was simple: map the outer systems and look for new sources of rare crystals. It was quiet work, far from the busy trade routes and political debates of the inner galaxy. Zilk was a patient being. His crystalline body glowed with soft green light, and his thoughts moved slowly and carefully. He had been exploring space for over 200 years, and he thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. The first sign of something unusual came when his ship's sensors detected massive energy readings from the Kepler 442 system. This was supposed to be empty space. No habitable planets, no stations, no reason for anyone to be there. But the energy signatures were enormous. "Navigator Chicks, set course for Kepler 442, Zilk ordered. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Chicks, his young assistant, pulsed with blue light. "Captain, that system is not on our survey list. Should we report to the Exploration Council first?" "We will investigate first, then report. It may be nothing." But as they approached the system, it became clear that it was definitely something. The Pauker. First structure they saw was a space station the size of a small moon. It was clearly of human design, with the straight lines and practical shapes that humans preferred. But it was bigger than anything Zilk had ever seen humans build before. "Captain," Chix's voice was full of awe. "I am reading 17 separate docking bays, each one large enough to service heavy cruisers." Zilk studied the displays. "What else do you see?" "Industrial complexes on 3 asteroids, mining operations on 7 more. And Captain, there are ships everywhere." Zilk looked out the main window and saw that Chix was right. Human vessels moved between the structures like insects around a hive. But these were not the simple cargo ships and light cruisers that humans usually flew. These were massive industrial vessels, sleek warships, and strange new designs that Zilk did not recognize. A communication signal reached their ship. The voice was human, polite, but firm. "Unknown vessel. This is Kepler Station Control. Please, identify yourself and state your business." Zilk activated the communication system. "This is Captain Zilk of the crystalline collective exploration vessel Bright Harmony. We are conducting routine deep space surveys." There was a pause. Then a different human voice came on the line. "Captain Zilk, this is Commander Sarah Park of the Terran Commonwealth Defense Force. We appreciate your visit, but this system is now under Terran territorial control. I will need to ask you to update your navigation charts." Zilk's crystal body dimmed with surprise. "Terran territorial control? This system was not claimed by any government when we began our mission." "Things change, Captain. The Terran Commonwealth has established settlements and defensive positions throughout this sector. We will be happy to provide you with updated territorial maps." A human patrol ship approached the Bright Harmony. It was sleek and fast, with weapons that looked more advanced than anything Zilk had seen before. Commander Park's voice continued, "Captain, we will escort you to the system boundary and provide you with the information you need. We ask that you respect our territorial claims and follow proper procedures for any future visits." Zilk had no choice but to agree. As the human ship guided them out of the system, he used his sensors to gather as much information as possible. What he saw amazed and worried him. The human construction in the system was not just big, it was sophisticated. The space station used technology that seemed decades ahead of what humans had shown during the council meetings. The industrial complexes were processing raw materials at a rate that rivaled entire galactic corporations. Most surprising of all were the ships that were not human. Zilk's sensors detected at least 6 different alien ship designs mixed in with the human fleet. The energy signatures were completely unknown. These were species that the Galaxy Council had never encountered. "Captain," Chix whispered, "are those ships from outside our region of the galaxy?" Zilk studied the readings. "It appears so. The humans have made contact with civilizations from the far spiral arms." When they reached the edge of the system, Commander Park's ship stopped. Her voice came over the communication system one more time. "Captain Zilk, it has been a pleasure meeting you. Please give our regards to the Galaxy Council. Tell them that humanity is doing well and does not require their assistance." There was something in her tone that made Zilk's crystals pulse with unease. "Commander, how many systems has the Terran Commonwealth claimed in this sector?" "All of them, Captain. We have established territorial control over every system within 50 light-years of this position. We are expanding our area of responsibility to ensure the security of our allies and trading partners." Zilk's entire body flashed with shock. 50 light-years in every direction meant hundreds of star systems. It was a territory larger than most council member species controlled. How is this possible? The Galaxy Council was not informed of these territorial claims. Commander Park's voice grew cooler. The Terran Commonwealth does not require permission from the Galaxy Council to expand into unclaimed space. We follow interstellar law and respect the rights of established civilizations, but empty systems are available for settlement by any qualified spacefaring species. As the human ship prepared to leave, Park added one final comment. "Captain, you might want to tell the Council that they should update their own territorial maps. The galaxy is changing, and they do not want to be left behind." The human ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving Zilk alone with his thoughts and his disturbing discoveries. The trip back to Council space took 2 weeks. Zilk spent the entire time writing his report and checking his sensor readings. He could hardly believe what he had found. The humans had not retreated into isolation after leaving the peace talks. They had exploded outward into unexplored space, claiming territory and building infrastructure at a rate that should have been impossible for a single species. But they were not alone. Zilk's analysis of the alien ships suggested that humans were working with at least a dozen unknown species. The energy signatures indicated advanced technology, possibly more advanced than anything the Council possessed. When he finally reached the crystalline collective homeworld, Zilk transmitted his report directly to the High Crystal, the leader of his people. The High Crystal's response was immediate and alarmed. "Captain Zilk, are you certain of these findings?" "Completely certain, High Crystal. The humans have established what appears to be an alternative galactic government. They are making alliances with species we have never encountered and building infrastructure that rivals our own." The High Crystal dimmed with worry. "This changes everything. The Council must be informed immediately." Within hours, emergency messages were sent to every member of the Galaxy Council. Zilk's report was distributed to intelligence agencies across the galaxy. The response was swift and panicked. High Counselor Zix of the Zephyrians called an emergency session. "This is impossible," he declared to the assembled representatives. "Humans cannot have established such a vast territory in just 6 months." Director Yila of Strategic Planning pulsed with agitated light. "The evidence suggests otherwise. Our own intelligence has detected increased human activity in multiple sectors. We simply did not realize the scale of their operations." A representative from the Tau Merchants Guild spoke up. "Our traders have been reporting mysterious territorial restrictions for weeks. Systems that were open to commerce are now controlled by the Terran Commonwealth. We assumed these were temporary security measures. How many systems are we talking about? Asked the counselor. Director Yila consulted her data. Based on Captain Silk's report and our own intelligence, the humans may have claimed territorial control over more than 300 star systems. The assembly erupted in shocked sounds. 300 systems was more territory than the 5 largest council members controlled combined. The ethereal representative floated higher. What about these unknown alien species? Who are they? We do not know, Yila admitted. They appear to be from regions of the galaxy we have not explored. The humans seem to have made contact through long-range exploration missions. Counselor, Zix's silver skin grew dark with anger and fear. This is unacceptable. The humans cannot simply ignore galactic law and establish their own government. What galactic law have they broken? Asked a quiet voice from the back of the assembly. Everyone turned to look. The speaker was Ambassador Tex from the small planet of Novo. The Novans were not important in council politics, but they were known for their careful study of interstellar law. The humans have claimed only unclaimed systems, Ambassador Tex continued. They have not attacked any established colonies or violated any existing territorial agreements. Under interstellar law, they have done nothing wrong. The assembly fell silent. Tex was right. The humans had been careful to follow the law even as they ignored the council's authority. Director Yila dimmed with worry. The legal situation may be clear, but the political implications are enormous. The humans are building a rival power structure. They are offering membership to species that we have never even contacted. What do we do? Asked the counselor. For the first time in Galaxy Council history, no one had an answer. In the outer darkness, human ships continued their. The crisis began with a simple shipping delay. The Stellar Fortune, a massive cargo vessel owned by the Mercantile Federation, was carrying food supplies from the agricultural worlds of Vega to the industrial colonies near Rigel. It was a routine run that the ship had made hundreds of times before. But this time, the ship never arrived. Captain Voss waited 3 days at the Rigel spaceport before contacting his company headquarters. The Stellar Fortune is overdue, he reported. No communication since they left the Vega system. The Federation sent out search ships. They found the Stellar Fortune drifting dead in space halfway between systems. The crew was alive but confused. What happened? Federation Control asked. The ship's captain, a gruff veteran named Morrison, sounded embarrassed. We had a complete engine failure. All systems went down at once. We sent out distress signals, but no one responded. No one? That shipping lane has regular patrol coverage. That is what we thought, but we waited 4 days without seeing another ship. Finally, a human patrol vessel found us. They gave us emergency power and escorted us to their nearest station for repairs. Federation Control paused. A human station? There are no human stations in that sector. Well, there is now. New construction. Very impressive facility. They had our engines fixed in 6 hours. Better than new, actually. The implications hit Federation Control immediately. The shipping lane between Vega and Rigel had been protected by a joint patrol system. Ships from 5 different species took turns keeping the route safe and providing emergency assistance. But 3 of those 5 species had been quietly depending on human logistics support. Without human supply ships, they could not maintain their patrol schedules. The shipping lanes that carried the food and goods that kept the galaxy running were suddenly unprotected. The Stellar Fortune was just the first casualty. Within a month, cargo ships were disappearing all over the galaxy. Not destroyed or captured, just stranded when their engines failed, or their navigation systems broke down. The rescue services that had quietly depended on human technology and support were not working anymore. Trade routes that had operated smoothly for decades became dangerous and unreliable. Shipping costs doubled, then tripled. Some routes were abandoned entirely. Director Karn of the Mercantile Federation called an emergency meeting of the major trading companies. The meeting room was filled with representatives from a dozen species, all looking worried and angry. We are facing a complete breakdown of galactic commerce, Karn announced. He was a tall, thin alien with blue skin and multiple arms. Shipping delays are up 400%. Insurance costs have increased by 600%. 3 major shipping companies have declared bankruptcy. A representative from Tau Merchants Guild clicked his mandibles nervously. My company's profits are down 70%. We cannot operate under these conditions. Another voice called out from the crowd. What about the human shipping companies? Are they still operating? Karn's expression grew dark. The human companies withdrew from all Federation contracts 6 months ago. They are apparently serving only their own territories and their new allies. Can we hire them directly? I tried. They quoted me prices that were actually lower than our old rates, but they will only accept contracts within their territorial space. They will not enter council-controlled systems. The room erupted in angry discussion. Everyone was losing money, but no one knew how to fix the problem. The shipping crisis was just the beginning. On the agricultural world of Series Prime, Administrator Yuki noticed that crop yields were dropping. The vast wheat fields that fed half a dozen star systems were producing 30% less grain than the previous year. The problem was not weather or disease. It was fertilizer. For the past 20 years, Series Prime had used an advanced fertilizer formula developed by human agricultural scientists. The humans had shared the formula freely as part of their contribution to galactic food security. But the formula required a specific type of bacteria that could only be grown in human biolabs. When the humans withdrew from council space, they stopped shipping the bacteria cultures. Administrator Yuki tried to find alternatives. The Zephyrians offered to sell similar bacteria for 10 times the price. The Crystalline Collective said they could develop a substitute in 5 to 7 years. Meanwhile, food shortages began appearing on industrial worlds that depended on Series Prime's exports. The medical situation was even worse. Dr. Keela of the U. Rigel Medical Center was treating a patient with vegan fever, a disease that affected several alien species. The standard treatment used a drug that was partly based on human pharmaceutical research. But the drug was not working as well as it used to. I do not understand, Dr. Keela told her assistant. This treatment used to cure vegan fever in 3 days. This patient has been sick for 2 weeks. The assistant checked the medical records. Doctor, I think I know the problem. The drug formula we are using is 6 months old. The humans used to send us updates every month with improvements to the treatment. Dr. Keela felt a cold chill. When did they stop sending updates? Right after they left the Galaxy Council. Across the galaxy, similar problems were appearing. Computer networks ran slower without human software improvements. Manufacturing. Plants could not maintain their equipment without human-designed replacement parts. Even the Galaxy Council's own facilities were experiencing system failures. But the most serious problem was security. General Tox of the Council Defense Force stood in the war room, staring at a tactical display that showed the galaxy's defensive positions. Red warning lights blinked across the screen. Give me the situation report, he ordered. Colonel Vex, his intelligence officer, consulted a tablet. Sir, we have confirmed hostile activity in 7 outer systems. The Devourer machines have resumed their expansion. The Devourers were an ancient enemy, machines that consumed entire planets to build more of themselves. For decades, they had been contained by a network of early warning stations and rapid response fleets. But most of those early warning stations had been built and maintained by humans. What is our response capability? General Tox asked. Limited, sir. The Third Fleet was supposed to patrol that sector, but they cannot maintain their supply lines without the human logistics network. The Seventh Fleet has the ships, but their navigation computers are failing. Apparently they used human software that is no longer being updated. General Tox's mandibles clicked with frustration. What about our allies? Can the Zephyrians provide support? The Zephyrians are dealing with their own problems, sir. Pirate. Attacks in their territory have increased by 300% since the human patrols were withdrawn. The tactical display updated, showing 3 more systems under Devourer attack. General Tox realized with growing horror that the galaxy's defenses had been built on a foundation of human support. Without that support, they were crumbling. Sir, Colonel Vex said quietly, there is something else. Our intelligence suggests that the Devourer expansion is being contained in some areas. By whom? Unknown forces, sir, but the energy signatures suggest very advanced technology. Some of our analysts think it might be the human Commonwealth and their new allies. General Tuck stared at the display. The humans are fighting the Devourers? It appears so, sir. They seem to have established defensive positions in the outer systems that we did not even know were important. For the first time, General, Tox began to understand the true scope of what had happened. The humans had not just left the Council. They had taken their knowledge, their technology, and their defensive capabilities with them. The Council had not just lost a member species. They had lost the foundation that held their civilization together. In the Council chambers, emergency sessions were called every day. Representatives who had once dismissed human contributions now scrambled to understand how much they had depended on human support. High Counselor Zix looked older and more tired than he had 6 months earlier. His silver skin had lost its shine, and his voice lacked its usual confidence. "The situation is untenable," he announced to the assembly. "Our economy is failing. Our defenses are compromised. Our infrastructure is breaking down." Director Yila pulsed with dim light. "We need to find a solution. The galaxy cannot function under these conditions." "What do you suggest?" asked a representative from the Tau Merchants Guild. Yila dimmed even more. "We need to contact the humans. Ask them to resume cooperation." The assembly fell silent. The idea of asking for help from the species they had dismissed as primitive was almost unthinkable. But as another security alert flashed on the chamber's displays, showing Devourer attacks on 3 more worlds, they began to realize they had no choice. The humans had not needed the Council. The Council needed the humans, and they were no longer sure the humans would be willing to help. 18 months after Ambassador Sarah Chen walked out of the Galaxy Council chambers, High Counselor Zix found himself standing outside the most impressive space station he had ever seen. The new Harmony Station hung in space like a massive city. It was easily 10 times larger than the Council's headquarters, with gleaming towers that stretched out in every direction. Ships from dozens of different species moved between the docking bays, but none of them belonged to Council members. Zix was not alone. Representatives from every major Council species had come on this desperate mission. They traveled in a small diplomatic fleet, looking very humble compared to the massive vessels that surrounded them. "Incoming Council delegation, this is new. Harmony Station Control," a human voice said over the communication system. "Please follow the navigation beacons to Docking Bay 7. The voice was polite but businesslike. There was no excitement about receiving the Galaxy Council's leadership, no special ceremony. The humans treated them like any other diplomatic mission. As their ships docked, Zix looked out the window at the station's interior. The docking bay alone was larger than most Council facilities. Human workers moved efficiently alongside aliens that Zix did not recognize. The technology visible everywhere looked decades ahead of what the Council possessed. A human woman in a crisp uniform waited for them at the airlock. She was young, with short dark hair and confident eyes. "Counselor Zix, I am Commander Lisa Park, Protocol Officer for the Terran Commonwealth. Secretary General Chen is waiting for you in Conference Room Alpha." Commander Park led them through corridors filled with busy activity. Zix saw alien species he had never encountered before, working alongside humans on various projects. The walls were covered with displays showing star charts that included vast regions of space he did not recognize. "Impressive station," Zix said, trying to make conversation. "Thank you," Commander Park replied. "It was completed 6 months ago. It serves as the administrative center for the Commonwealth." "How many species are part of this Commonwealth?" asked Director Yila, floating alongside them. "Currently, we have full members from 197 different species, with another 53 in various stages of the membership process." The number hit Zix like a physical blow. The Galaxy Council had 31 member species accumulated over thousands of years. The humans had gathered 6 times that number in less than 2 years. They arrived at Conference Room Alpha, which was larger than the Council's main assembly hall. A massive table filled the center, with chairs and environmental supports for dozens of different alien physiologies. At the head of the table sat Sarah Chen. She looked exactly the same as she had 18 months ago, but something about her presence had changed. She wore a simple dark uniform, but everyone in the room somehow understood that she was the most powerful person in the galaxy. Counselor Zix, Director Yila, honored delegates, Chen said, standing to greet them. Welcome to New Harmony Station. Please have a seat. As the council delegation arranged themselves around the table, Zix noticed other beings present that he did not recognize. The alien at Chen's right hand looked like a cross between an insect and a machine. Another delegate appeared to be made of living metal. A third seemed to exist partially in another dimension. Secretary General Chen, Zix began formally, "We appreciate you agreeing to meet with us." "Of course," Chen replied, "though I should mention that several of our member species wanted to attend this meeting. Representatives from the Andromedans, the Voidwalkers, and the Crystal Singers are particularly interested in learning more about the Galaxy Council." Zix felt another shock. The Andromedans were from another galaxy entirely. The Council had always assumed that intergalactic travel was impossible. Director Yila pulsed with nervous light. "Secretary General, we come here today to discuss the possibility of renewed cooperation between our organizations." Chen nodded. "I assumed as much. Before we begin, would you like to hear about what the Commonwealth has accomplished since our last meeting?" She gestured to the displays around the room, which lit up with star charts and statistical data. "In the past 18 months, we have established peaceful contact with over 300 previously unknown species. We have colonized 437 star systems. We have built 17 major industrial complexes and 32 defensive installations." The numbers were staggering. The Council had not achieved that level of expansion in centuries. "We have also successfully contained 3 devourer incursions, prevented a civil war in the Magellanic Clouds, and mediated a territorial dispute between the Crystalline Hegemony and the Plasma Collective." Zix recognized the last 2 names. They were powerful civilizations from the far side of the galaxy that the Council had been trying to contact for decades. "Most importantly," Chen continued, "we have done all of this without a single military conquest. Every species that has joined the Commonwealth has done so voluntarily, after careful negotiation and mutual agreement." The Council delegates sat in stunned silence. The scope of human achievement was beyond anything they had imagined possible. Chen leaned back in her chair. "Now, Counselor Zix, what did you want to discuss?" Zix had prepared a careful speech about mutual cooperation and shared interests. But sitting in this room surrounded by evidence of human success, the words seemed inadequate. "Secretary General," he said finally, "the Galaxy Council is facing serious difficulties. Our economy is struggling. Our security is compromised. We believe that our 2 organizations could benefit from renewed partnership." Chen's expression remained neutral. "What kind of partnership did you have in mind?" Director Yila floated forward. "We propose a formal alliance between the Council and the Commonwealth. Shared trade agreements, joint defense pacts, coordinated exploration efforts." "Under whose authority?" Chen asked quietly. The question hung in the air. Zix realized that this was the heart of the matter. "We had assumed that the 2 organizations could work as equals," he said carefully. Chen smiled, but it was not entirely friendly. "Counselor, with respect, we are not equals. The Commonwealth has nearly 200 member species. The Council has 31. We control over 400 star systems. The Council controls fewer than 100. Our economy is growing at 30% per year. The Council's economy is contracting." The brutal truth of their situation was laid out clearly. The humans had not just left the Council, they had surpassed it completely. "What are you proposing?" asked the representative from the Crystalline Collective. Chen looked around the table. "Individual Council species are welcome to apply for Commonwealth membership. We evaluate each application based on the applicant's commitment to peaceful cooperation, technological contribution, and cultural compatibility." "You want us to abandon the Council and join your organization instead?" "I want you to make the choice that is best for your people," Chen replied. "Some species might be better served by reforming the Council and continuing as an independent organization. Others might find that Commonwealth membership offers advantages that outweigh the costs. Counselor Zix felt his world shifting beneath him. And what about species that choose to remain with the Council? The Commonwealth has no quarrel with the Galaxy Council, Chen said. We will respect your territorial claims and honor existing agreements. We will engage in trade and diplomacy when it serves mutual interests. But you will not provide the support that our civilization has come to depend on, Yila said bitterly. Chen's expression softened slightly. Director Yila, for decades the Council treated humanity as junior partners who needed guidance and supervision. You consistently dismissed our contributions and ignored our suggestions. When we asked for equal treatment, you told us we were too young and too primitive. She stood up and walked to the large window that looked out on the bustling station. We offered to work with you as equals. You insisted on treating us as children, so we left and built something better. Something that treats all species with respect and gives every member an equal voice. Chen turned back to the delegates. The invitation is still open. Any species that wants to join the Commonwealth on an equal basis is welcome to apply. But we will not go back to being your junior partners, waiting for permission to help people and solve problems. The meeting continued for several hours. The Council delegates asked about trade agreements, security cooperation, and technological sharing. The answers were always the same. The Commonwealth would work with anyone who treated them as equals. But the days when humans waited for Council approval were over. As the meeting ended, Zix found himself walking back to the docking bay with a heavy heart. The Council delegations' ships looked small and outdated compared to the gleaming vessels that surrounded them. Commander Park escorted them to their ships. "Counselor," she said as he reached his airlock, "the Secretary General asked me to give you this." She handed him a datapad containing detailed information about Commonwealth membership requirements and application procedures. "In case any of your member species are interested," she said with a professional smile. As the Council fleet departed from New Harmony Station, Zix looked back at the massive structure. Ships were arriving and departing constantly, carrying goods and people, and ideas between hundreds of worlds.